Hello and welcome to the Crude Effect Podcast. I am your host, Shubi Nati, alongside my co-host, Alon Lee.
Yes, sir.
Today, we're going to touch on Donald Trump.
Oh, my gosh.
His chance of being reelected possibly as a strong following. Why you shake your head? There's a possibility that he could return as president for 4 more years. How much did he raise? $30 million?
$30 million.
From the outside, y'all. You better wake up. And also, we're going to touch on Oprah Winfrey and Prince Harry are starting this television series about mental health, clinical depression, things of that nature. I think it's a good thing. First, you can find me, Shobi Nati, on Facebook at Shobi Nati, Twitter at CNati, Instagram CNati3130.
And you can find me on Facebook at Ali, Instagram A Lee for Life, and Twitter A Lee 211996.
That's it.
D-Trump
Trump in the house.
raised $30 million. I saw it the other day. $30 million.
I think first quarter, whatever this is.
Yeah,
for
that's a lot of money, a lot of support.
I mean, yeah, he has a base. He has a 43% support rating across his country, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. That's what it is. And for him to get reelected, he needs another 8%. It's really that simple.
And I don't even see a Democratic opponent that's close to him that's going to rival him to a certain extent. I mean, we've talked about Bernie Sanders. Are you just talking about
just money, or are you just talking about just rival him?
Just
period?
overall, just beating him in the polls. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
there's some, but once again, it's the only two who are of name recognition who beat him straight up are Bernie and Joe Biden. That's it. They're the only two that beat him heads up in polls. That's it. So the issue is that
but they're going to split votes. So this is what I'm trying to say. Like,
I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying as far as they've taken 2 polls, and the only polls where he's being beaten out of all the challengers, Ms. Harris, Castro, Beto O'Rourke. I mean, we can go down the list.
Right.
Mayor Pete, by the way, congratulations, Mayor Pete.
Mr. Pete.
Just announced his candidacy. Those are the only 2 that beat Trump head up as of right now. Trump, for the most part, is beating Elizabeth Warren. He's beating everybody. And from my understanding, and just early, looking at some of the shows, Wall Street has it where the only 2 people that can beat, or that they're comfortable with beating Trump, are Biden, and it wasn't Sanders, it was someone else. I can't remember. I think it might have been Beto O'Rourke, because Wall Street doesn't want Elizabeth Warren in there. They don't want Bernie in there because they know that they're coming for their necks. And so if it comes down to, a Democratic person versus Trump that Wall Street's not comfortable with, they're going to back Trump.
Yeah, Bernie's a different animal.
Bernie and Elizabeth Warren.
They're very aggressive.
Yeah,
figures.
financially.
Yeah.
And they feel like that these CEOs should be getting shot. There should be caps on CEOs.
Yep.
And a lot of that's a progressive movement, and that's being looked at as a bad thing. I firmly believe, I'm a progressive, and I believe that's what should be happening. I grew up in a time pre-Reagan and then post-Reagan, and I saw what happened when those caps were lifted. I saw what happened when the rich weren't being taxed like they were supposed to, and when
they had no boundaries,
right? We're seeing it again.
Once again, that's the only reason they want Trump in that office. They really don't. They're not a fan of him.
No,
because he talks too much about their business. He talks too much. This country has been ran this way from the beginning. Exactly how Trump is doing it. It's just that Trump is talking about it. These are the same policies from the beginning of George Washington all the way up. Yeah. The same policies, the same mental.
To a certain extent.
It's just Donald is talking about it.
He's also doing something which this government has never really seen, which is the Clintons were in office as a family, but Chelsea was young.
Right.
And they didn't have like a bunch of children running up in that office.
Right.
This man has his family up in there, like running around, and he's marketing his business on the USA's dollar. Like every time he goes down to Mar-a-Lago, and I've said this before, he's making money because the Secret Service has to stay down there, which in turn he's charging the American government for the Secret Service to stay at his facility. He's being so blatantly like, I'm going to make money off the USA and all that. Plus, I'm just going to be like, screw it. If anybody gets caught, I'm pardoning them. They don't like all that.
I think the biggest problem with Trump is he's a lot like them. He thinks like them in so many areas. In so many areas.
Yeah.
But the difference is he does it his way.
Yeah, and that makes him uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's what makes him, not the family, but that makes him uncomfortable.
But I think the family thing is a part of him doing it his way. Yeah. I think, because if you look at everybody who's gotten indicted like this, Mike Flynn and all that, it came from his son. It came from certain things. Like these things are coming from because they're squeezing the family. You see what I'm saying? Usually most presidents keep their family at a distance.
No, I get that.
He is not. He's got them up. You see what I'm saying? Basically, he's giving the feds more people to squeeze.
Why do you think all this stuff is coming out, or these indictments? Why do you think?
Well, not even just the indictments.
No, I'm asking you. Why do you think it's really coming out? It's because he's talking too much.
Oh,
if he
right.
wasn't talking, none of this stuff would come out.
I agree. If he had a law, and look, but he's been told this. This isn't like he hasn't been told.
No, I get it.
He's been told by some of the best and the brightest.
I get it.
And these people have been leaving his administration. These are not dumb people. The people who are still staying there for whatever reason they're staying there, whether they're loyalists, they see something out of, he's promised them something. I don't know at this point how you can stay.
Because he's protected, dude.
That's fine.
And the media throws these things out here to make us feel like
they're going to come
not.
out. Right. People are going to jail
I get it. They're fall guys.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And at this point right now, why would I want to be around him and potentially be one of the fall guy or gals? I just, no. I couldn't take that chance.
No, we've seen people distance themselves from him. But at the same time, at the end of the day.
But if he were quieter, these people wouldn't have to distance themselves.
But at the end of the day, Alon, he has their same interest at hand. He's been pretty quiet. You notice that? Have you noticed that? He's been pretty quiet.
Okay.
Before that, tweeting and all that crazy. For the last 3-4 months solid, he's been quiet. It's a reason for that, dude. And like, dude, if you want to get back in here, be quiet for a minute. Be quiet.
Settle down.
I don't care what they say.
Yeah.
Those powers want him back in there because they like, damn, after all that talking and crazy stuff.
He still got support.
Yeah.
He's going to lose a Senate. So now you're talking about you don't have the House. You don't have the Senate. There's nothing you can pass. He can't pass anything at that point with that type of legislative body. And on top of it, if he does get reelected, what is he running on? Because like I said, I'm going to go to the immigration policy.
Exactly.
Because you're talking about
they got what they wanted out of that,
right,
that tax cut.
The cut and their judge.
That was
and their
at the
judge,
front of the line.
And their judge.
Yep.
But my thing is that
this
immigration policy is something they don't want in a certain way. Not what he's doing. The powers to be do not want this.
It's not going to happen.
Oh, I know it's not going to happen.
They know it's not going to happen,
right.
Alon.
Right.
They're just letting him talk and throw it out there.
So they're letting him run his mouth in certain areas.
Come on, man. It's a distraction. Okay. They know there's no money for that. Not going to happen.
But now getting to the point of him getting $30 million, there's no one running against him.
Exactly.
So that's where all that money, that's Republican money. You look at the way it's spread out democratically, if there's one candidate, they're actually out gaining him. But it's like, what, 15, 16 of them?
Yeah. What are the Democrats going to push that's going to be believable to the people at this point? You see what I'm saying?
And me and you were talking about that as far as like, at least for the Black Caucus.
Not these pipe dreams.
Well, no. The Black Caucus, the Black
scenarios, concrete stuff that they're going to push to combat what just happened these last 4 years.
But we have to, in our caucuses, the Black, Latin caucuses, in particular, this is a time for us to really stretch and demand what we want. I'm watching this or Ortez or whatever, Ocasio-Cortez, whatever. I'm apologize if I'm pronouncing it right. AOC. I'm watching these young freshmen that are coming in, demanding and getting what they want. As far as like speaking on these issues, and this is what we have to do. It says the Black Caucus and the Latin Caucus. What is it that they want? For the Latin Caucus, I would assume that they would want a real fair immigration policy. I would say that we want that on the books. I believe Obama promised that, never got it. Mind you, he tried. The Republican Congress would not let him get it through. Obama tried a million different ways. DACA was Obama's. He had a deal on the table that the Republicans walked away from. John Boehner, by the way, who's making money off marijuana. That's a different topic. So Obama tried. If I'm the Latin Caucus, whoever the nominee is, I have to get a promise that we're going to get immigration through because we're going to have the House and the Senate. And I have to get a promise that is the initial issue, not health care. I get health care is going to be a big issue, but Obama had a choice. Every president has a choice that when they get in, there's quote unquote a mandate, and especially that first term.
Right.
And what do you push? Because that's going to be what you push, and you'll probably get that through.
It's
but
like
after
a first
that,
impression.
But after that, it's going to be a hard. And,
Yep.
Obama, to his credit,
That first push, whatever that first agenda, sets everything.
And so Obama,
Yep.
to his credit, made healthcare his push.
Yep.
He got it through, but at the expense of a lot of other stuff,
Yep.
including immigration. If I'm the Latin caucus, I demand it. Now, if I'm the Black caucus, I demand complete and utter judicial reform. I demand it off the top. I need to see what it looks like. I need to understand how we're going to do this federally. I need to understand how this is going to trickle down to the states.
Judicial reform as far as overall.
Sentencing, as far as rehabilitation, as far as these private prisons, as far as the way that we're pushing these kids from high school straight into prison, all of that. The Black caucus, Latin caucus, because the Democratic caucus is now becoming more and more colored.
Yep.
And so these caucuses have to say right here and right now, just like we talk about there's no excuse for our young men and young women to be uneducated. There's an internet out here. There was a time when my grandmama and his grandmamas and all that couldn't even read a book because if they did, they'd get beat to death going to school. So there's no excuse for us to be uneducated.
Yep.
Now it's about there's no excuse for us now politically to say and get what we want. Even if you claim you don't believe in a political system, once again, remember that you're in a representative government, unlike Russia and China. You're in a representative. So in order for it to work, you must represent. And so these are the things that we have to start addressing.
Go to this Oprah Winfrey, Prince Harry thing. They're going to start this TV series on Apple Television.
Yes.
About mental health, clinical, just
depression,
all types of things that deals with the mind and the physical also, man.
What made Miss Winfrey decide to partner up with Prince Harry, of all people, with this issue?
I didn't see anything where she said why, but Prince Harry, he's dealt with mental illness or, that mental depression, clinical depression because of the death of his mom.
Right.
And I've heard him say he still kind of suffers with that, how, everything went down and, he misses his mom, dude. It's making me tear up a little bit because, you know what I'm saying?
Miss yours, right.
My mom's gone. Right. This thing is going to be huge and it's going to bring awareness not only to everyone, but specifically African-American community, because I think a lot of us as African-Americans, we have dealt with clinical depression and did not even know it.
Yes.
We didn't know how to diagnose this because we don't have the resources to, the uppers or, who can help us understand what we're going through.
We all need counseling.
Yes.
For me, it was in high school. Helped me tremendous. Not high school, college.
Yes.
Second year of college, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and just I got some counseling. Now not just on the my degree and what I was going to go into, but just also like who I was and what I was.
Right.
Introvert, extrovert, just looking at myself.
I think college brings some of that depression on, especially if you come from a small town or a place where you're kind of an introvert. I've heard of a lot of kids who come from upper peninsulas of Wisconsin, those small towns, and
they come to something big.
And it's culture shock.
Yeah.
And the cool kids who have adapted to it because they've been around and they're kind of introverts. That causes depression also. Where do I belong, like you said?
That's why they have these services, like I said, which I didn't even know. If I hadn't had like a academic advisor who was just like, I think you should just go in. I don't think I ever go. And so it helped me tremendously. I know, it's helped others close to me. I've had people close to me when I was young who went through it, and I just didn't recognize that they were going through it. Just lack of awareness because us, as like you say, as black people, we look at it, and same thing, I've heard it from Asians and Latins too, that it's looked at as a weakness.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out, get over it.
Exactly. And that was in the African American. Get up and go, shake it off. Shake it off. Do you remember? At times, I can remember at times myself going through this. Now that I think about it, when I had somewhat of a culture change, and I would just feel tired, and I was just going through something because something didn't go through for me, or it just didn't follow up, and I was disappointed. I would find myself sleeping longer, or just just
Yeah.
blah
Yeah,
a
and see,
lot.
right, and
and
you
I
know,
didn't
and-
realize
no.
that was
That was it.
up in clinical
Yeah.
depression. I didn't know that. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, that's then. Like I said, and that's what they'll tell you if you find yourself sleeping too much or, just don't have a lot of energy or whatever.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I stayed into fitness, because it fights that. If you stay,
Blood's flowing
and your
mind
adrenaline is flowing,
yes.
all
Makes
of that,
sense.
it just helps you, keep the body in a positive state. So that's one reason why I try and at least work out and all that, and I stay in the training because I know that the physical component helps with the mental component. And like you said, for him, I think it's great. And I think it's great for Oprah as well. One, because she got a lot of flack from the Michael Jackson documentary. But two, this is, I think, no, I'm really, and I mean, whether right or wrong.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
No, I'm saying right or wrong. At least I give her credit because she's trying to open some doors and to have some conversations, which she's always been about. So
Yes,
I love that in her. And this one is a great one, and I hope it does veer into how minorities really look at it as weakness and how we can get past it. And I hope, Harry's wife can talk about some of it if she's gone through it, her family members or whatever, because this is something that's really huge in our community, and I think we have to find a way to make sure that our kids, especially whether they're, they see other kids getting shot or getting harassed by the police or something. That's something we got to talk about.
Yep.
And understand that it affects our babies, and not just in a fearful way, but to affect them and say, hey, you got support. If there's something you want to talk about, talk. Don't just bundle it up, because I think a lot of the negative energy that comes out in our culture is because we bundle it up.
That's true. Stuffers.
Yeah.
Because we don't have anyone to talk to.
And so you got to be hard, and so now I got to show them hard and all this, instead of saying, hey, it's okay. Come get a hug.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That will conclude our show for this week. I would like to thank you all for listening. Once again, you can find me, Showbe on Facebook at Showbe, Twitter at C-T, Instagram, C-T3130.
And you can find me on Facebook at Ali, Instagram, A Lee for Life, Twitter, A Lee 21 1996.
Till next week, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.